This is Tom Burkhardt from Car-Revs Daily in the 2015 Lincoln Navigator 4x4 Reserve this week. We'll do a couple launch starts and then drive video, talk about how great this truck is. It's been awesome. I've actually had it for about 2 weeks now, so we got everything off. Okay, boom. Wow, that was like a big torque surge. So that's 60 right there. It's great. This nav engine, the new Navigator, is so much better than your initial thoughts of how it might be based on the freshness of its appearance. Of course, so the Navigator and the Expedition were refreshed for 2015 with new suspension, new cabins, exterior design changes, and of course the new 3.5 liter twin turbocharged EcoBoost engine, which is an awesome unit. It makes 460 foot-pounds of torque from 2750 RPM and 380 horsepower at like 5200 RPM, which is really good. Both of those numbers are bumped pretty noticeably versus this engine also appearing in the Taurus Show and Explorer Sport and stuff like that. So it's really this sort of beefed up turbo engine is absolutely up to the task. Feels much quicker actually than the previous Ford 5.4 liter and 4.6 liter V8s. It just has like power all the time. It's really a gem. So and that's like the first header. I'm gonna try to organize this drive video review a little bit more. The header of that of the Navigator Reserve for 2015 is that it's so great because of its handling and drive demeanor, first thing. Secondly, for its comfort and luxury inside, as well as like a ton of room. And then lastly, the last thing is like this car is really good value. In 2015, when all cars are like, you know, just ridiculous, feel like ridiculously priced sometimes, like the $67,000 Mercedes AMG GLA 45, which is like the tiniest machine ever, has the same base price as this Nav from 65K, and as tested, we're at 73 for this loaded Reserve with 22-inch wheels, and a bunch of other cool stuff that we'll get into. But the thing that really sticks with you is that this car is really just like it's so trustworthy and easy to drive, which for a full-size SUV is not something that can really be taken for granted. The first time I drove the Nav was last year, and actually got to drive it back to back with the first series of the 2015 Cadillac Escalade, and was like absolutely expected to just have the Nav get blown out of the water by the Escalade, and that wasn't the case at all. The Escalade that I was in was the extended wheelbase, and it rode really choppy, had like grip issues, and just overall like wasn't the dream that I thought it was going to be. Whereas you get in this Navigator, it is so posh and so comfortable, and at the same time so quick and sort of like fun to chuck around. It's just a totally different drive experience than what you get in the Suburban, Yukon, Denali, and Escalade, which are like good trucks, and you can definitely haul ass in them and drive, you know, and make great progress, particularly with the Denali and Escalade 6-liter V8. But was it a 6-liter or 6.2 liter? I don't know. But you can make good progress in those trucks, but they never feel like you never feel absolutely confident about what the truck is going to do next. Like it just sort of is like there's a little more of a learning curve, I guess you could say, versus getting in the Expedition as well as this 2015 Navigator. Really feels sort of like instantly comfortable, familiar, and you know, like I could drift this car. I mean, I'm not gonna, because we have 22-inch Pirelli Scorpion tires on here with a ton of grip, as well as 4-wheel independent suspension. But you know, that sense of like being feeling that confident about the way a full-size SUV drives is a great aspect of the truck. Because it's not just for you know, driving one up, you know, on a sunny summer day. It's when it's like crappy out and you've got your bunch of family in the back. You know, we seat 8 in here, so you got plenty of room, and those and all that sort of like you know, lifestyle stuff. Maybe you got a boat in back. I mean, all that stuff. It really, you want to have a truck that that you just feel like comfortable and familiar with from you know, the moment you hit the start button. And then secondly, you know, outside of those like extreme scenarios, it's just a lot easier to drive. I find it a lot easier and more relaxing and natural to drive around town and in like tight parking areas and city stuff. Whereas like with the with even the Tahoe, it's just like it's more of a sense of mass with the whole vehicle. The Nav, it feels as big, but it just feels more nimble. I think there's a lot of lightness in the front, thanks to losing 2 cylinders off of a big heavy V8. You know, it's only like 50 to 100 pounds lighter, so it's not like a big deal because turbos have really heavy oil systems and extra intercoolers and stuff like that. But it does feel significantly like light and chuckable and nimble from up front, as well as really true and sticky in the back with that independent rear suspension, which is still a big selling point versus the Escalade and its twins, which still have a live axle in back. And it's just like it's not that big of a deal once you get the tire pressures right on those GM trucks. They actually ride pretty well, but nothing near as smooth as the Navigator when they're all on 22s. So with those trucks, they ride well with that live axle in the back. But when you load up the truck, you start to like notice serious, you know, demerits in terms of like if you were to run over a pothole with the right side of the vehicle, it jiggles like the whole car. You know, whereas like with an independent suspension, it's able to manage those like a one-side bump event on just that side of the vehicle, which of course is what you prefer. And then the next thing that comes in with that live axle on the GM trucks is that they just don't have very good traction as a result. Like, you know, doing like you know, pulling out of a restaurant or something onto like a busy 4-lane road, you want to have some level of you just want to know that it's not just gonna like do a big burnout. I mean, you need to get the thing moving. This is a big truck. You got 100 people back there, so it's good to have that to have more reassurance that you can drive around in 2-wheel drive mode and not really have to worry about really big grip issues and doing burnouts all the time. And you know, because that's not what the buyer group for this truck is going to do. You just want to have traction. You want it to be flawless all the time. So Nav comes in 4x2 or 4x4 configurations, and it has just like really easy, simple buttons: 4x2, 4x4 auto, 4x4 lock, and then hill descent control, and a couple other just really simple buttons, which is just the biggest counterpoint to the Escalade, which is like very, very confusing, very confusing. It's just hard to find some of its controls. Like its power adjustable pedals, for example, are right up like in the Q info stack, and it's just an up and down arrow, so it looks like that would be volume or seek or something, but no, that's the pedals. Whereas the Nav is like a little more intuitive in that way. You have power tilt telescoping steering column here, as well as power adjustable pedals, all in like one, you know, sort of fingerful of area. So totally foolproof there, and really just a really good drive. I mean, really good. So, okay, so let's talk about the comfort and luxury / like great value of this vehicle. So this Nav comes in, like we said, comes in with a sticker of like $67, and then has a $7,000 massive option, which is like the reserve group, which I highly recommend for these reasons. It has instead of the standard 20-inch wheels, it has 22-inch 20-spoke polished aluminum alloy wheels with of course with all-season tires on this truck for the 4x4 models. And so that reserve package is really worthwhile because I have to look up exactly what it includes, but I think it's like the vented seats, this entire like leather wrapped dashboard. This whole thing is wrapped in leather. It's really, really nice. It's really classy. I didn't know, you know, since Ford divested Jaguar, Land Rover, and Aston, it's sort of like, I mean, their cabins are not leading the pack these days in terms of like poshness and comfort and material quality. They're not leading the pack in the automotive market in general, and then they're not even leading in among domestic automakers, which is a big news. I mean, Fiat Chrysler making big moves. The General Motors vehicles since about 2014 vastly improved. I mean, just a night and day difference versus the cars from even a year before that in the engineering cycle. So those are all really good things. The cabin is like, it's really comfortable with like it just has excellent fundamentals, I guess you could say, in terms of the drive position, overall comfort you can achieve, and control behind the wheel to drive, as relaxed or as hardcore of a manner as you want. So that reserve pack comes with, like, I think a bunch of interior goodies, and then the wheels. Wheels and tires come with, and the last thing is the drive control. So the drive control system runs continuously variable dampers all around, and it's like an adaptive suspension with 3 drive modes. You have comfort, normal, and sport. We were in sport just now, but we can go into comfort. They're pretty, I mean, it's pretty noticeable, particularly going from comfort directly to sport. I mean, there's just a lot more sort of wallow and sort of like flowing wave-like crests as you go over bumps, whereas the sport mode is a little more buttoned down. Excuse me, a little more buttoned down. Comfort also has a lot lighter steering, which, like, maybe just because I'm lazy, I've kind of been enjoying. So it has, and then it just has like really relaxed transmission and throttle programming, so that the comfort is always going to be, it's like your limo setting where you just are in the back, reading the Financial Times while somebody else drives smoothly. So those are the 3 settings, and that drive control is not standard. It's an optional feature. But what is standard is something called a Nevo Mat, is what they're calling this, and it's a special load leveling feature for the rear of the truck. Obviously critical if you're going to be towing 8,000-9,000 pounds like this truck can. You want it to be level and with safe, trustworthy, the regular trustworthy handling that you would have without a trailer. Obviously you want it with the trailer. So we also have like trailer sway control, some tow and haul modes, manual gear selections here, just on the little column. Really an enormously useful vehicle. So that $7,000 reserve package is really nice in terms of like upping the overall ambiance and perceived quality, perceived like luxury of the Nav's cabin. It does a really good job. I mean, there's really thick, like these thick brown carpets. It's got like a 2-tone finish on the outside, actually. For the lower power operated running boards and the lower sills in front and back, you have like a gloss black paintwork there, which is cool. I mean, it's like takes a little bit to notice that it's not just like shrouded body cladding or something, but it actually is just a very modest 2-tone paint job in tuxedo black for the lower area. And then this car, I can't remember what this color is called. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. I want to say like chestnut or something. I probably got it totally wrong. Oh, okay, this is Java metallic, sorry. So it's like sort of like a rich metallic tannish brown. It's like maybe like a jungle khaki, you could call it. So this one looks really good. The 22-inch wheels obviously are like make or break for the, I mean, they're not make or break, but they definitely make the design of the car, because they're so enormous. They're almost like they from certain angles, you're sort of like, oh my God, are those the wheels on the truck? They really fill out the arches so nicely and feel very sporty and posh, which is critical, obviously, if you're competing with Escalades, which are all about like flash appeal. I don't know if they still make rap videos, but if they do, the Escalade is in them. Whereas the Nav, is more of a traditionalist choice. And but it has legions of loyal fans who are going to be absolutely ecstatic with the new truck's power, ride, luxury, and tech. So the Nav needs those wheels, I think, to really sort of make its most effective style statement, because it is pretty color sensitive, and the details are not like, they're not, besides the nose and tail, it's a pretty familiar shape. And so people know what they're looking at. But the new nose, it has actually, the grille is really growing on me. I think it looks best on the Navigator, which has a horizontal like charcoal metallic painted grille bars, versus more like vertical and waterfall flowing patterns for the rest of the Lincoln design in this era. So I really like it. I think it looks good. We've got awesome LED fogs that are on all the time, and LED DRLs within the headlights that form just like sort of a little horseshoe around the HID high zenith projectors. So it looks the LED for LED wise. I mean, it is on point. It looks really good. The one note I have is that like the little inside the headlights, those LEDs actually get a lot dimmer when the main lamps come on, and the MKC does this too from Lincoln. It must be their thing, but they seem to like dim too much. I just wish they were more, you know, in your face, because like I'm obsessed with LEDs. But for someone who loves LEDs, the Nav is obviously a really good place to be, because the trunk of this 2015 truck has like 140 LED units. I mean, it's crazy. It's like a giant, just the full width horizontal bar of LEDs, parallel to all the other lines on the vehicle. Obviously, it's not crooked or anything. And then around the side, there's like a little hook for each side. It's gorgeous. It looks really, really good. Very, very new, and very posh. You also have like the new style of Lincoln typeface and script, so it's like, you know, Lincoln and like, you know, big all caps across the trunk, which actually like some of the Lincoln people were telling me when they added that to the 2015 MKS, which is like almost exclusively a livery car these days, like a fleet car. People loved it. Like sales went way up just from the little trunk badging. So, you know, don't scoff at the badge, at the typeface and at all caps. Apparently, it really works, and it definitely sets the brand right for the Navigator. People know what this car is, even if they don't know the Lincoln brand. You know, it's one of those like Miata versus Mazda things, where for a while, like they were doing market research, and Miata had way more name, you know, recall and recognition than Mazda itself. So, you know, what are we gonna do? So that's why they switched the name to MX-5 to emphasize the Mazda aspect of it. And the Navigator is like, you know, sort of like lives large in the Lincoln lineup in the same way. It really just runs the show and defines the brand identity for many, many people, which is great. It's doing them proud this year. Really quiet, really smooth, fast, chuckable, huge inside, and you have a massive dose of value. So that's $73K total, included the reserve package, and then also a $1,000 moonroof, which is big, but you know, it's really wide, but it's not like a full length one or anything. But it does open into all that. It's pretty fancy. And then let me turn around here. And that's great value. I mean, the Tahoe, like a Tahoe LTZ or Suburban LTZ, I mean, those things are coming in like 75 to 80, easy. And the Denali, you know, 81, 82. Escalade these days, of course, you can price right up to and past $100,000. So for the Navigator to come in like at a very, very affordable base point of 65 for the standard length, and I think it's like 68 or something for the Navigator L, the long wheelbase version, is awesome. I mean, it's just really, it's almost like a coolness discount. Which is so like ridiculous to say. I was like trying to plan how I was going to say this earlier so I could be tactful. It's like, okay, so because the Navigator is not as ostentatiously, you know, in demand and sought after like the Escalade, I think they just were really conservative in how they priced it. You know, they obviously could have matched the Escalade or Denali dollar for dollar, but they really made, it seems like Lincoln made a conscientious choice to have it be at similar equipment levels at least $5,000 to $10,000 cheaper than those vehicles, which is awesome for buyers. I mean, there's just so much sense of like a great car that you just would drive, and you know, you could drive. We could go to LA right now from Charleston, South Carolina. I mean, that's the kind of truck the Navigator is. It's just like, it feels like your truck. So far from being an also-ran for 2015, even with its, you know, pretty conservative style, the new Nav is awesome.